Greetings YouTube, Lone Assassin here. What is up guys? Today's gameplay is going to be some Warframe. I'm revisiting this game now that I have more experience with the game. I have, more to tell about the game. Now I've played it for a good while now. I have a good understanding of what the game is about. But before anything, I want to mention that now I'm going to be uploading 720p 60 frames per second. I'm not going to upload in 1080p anymore, mainly because the rendering times are horrendous on my computer. Like it takes like 7-8 hours to render, and that's ludicrous in my opinion. I don't have the time of day to do that. I don't have the electricity to pay to do that, so I'm gonna cut it down 720p 60 frames per second. And another reason is because YouTube updated their apps, their mobile apps, so now it does support 60 frames per second. So that's a big one. Plus that was my main issue, because I was saying in my previous videos that I watch pretty much all my videos, like my YouTube videos on my mobile phone and not on the computer. So since seeing as they never supported 60 frames per second before, there was no point in uploading it because I wouldn't be able to see it. So now that they do support it, I'm gonna be uploading 60 frames per second because basically everyone will be able to see 60 frames per second, whether on a tablet or PC or their phone, whatever. So now that it's pretty much fully supported, at least generally on different devices, I'm gonna start uploading 60 frames per second because video game wise, that's the best way to go. And like I said, it's kind of best of both worlds. 720p is HD enough, the baseline, and then you got 60 frames per second, so that's gonna be good. So pretty much my videos from now on will be 720p 60 frames per second. So with that long ass intro out of the way, let's get right into Warframe. As I mentioned before, I played this game before and I've uploaded it before, but basically that was when I first started playing it. I usually do that with new games. I upload them, I'm like, yo, this is my first impressions of the game, and I'm glad to say that those impressions still carry on throughout the game, even though I've been playing it for a good 2 or 3 more months. It's been a hell of a game, man. That's pretty much all I play right now. I don't play anything else. I don't play Call of Duty anymore because I'm kind of tired of it. And I still play other games, but this is like my main game right now. Like every time I hop on Xbox, I'm like, boom, load up Warframe. And like I said, the cool thing about this game is that it's free. It's on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. It's free to play, free to download, all that good stuff. It's pretty cool because each Warframe has its own unique abilities. Now there are abilities that are similar to each other, but they're not exactly the same, so don't get that confused. They're like roughly, I think there's 20 different Warframes you can obtain in this game, and you excuse me, and you can get them all. There's no restriction like, oh, you can only get 5 or whatever. Well, it technically kind of is, but theoretically you can get every single Warframe and play them all. It's pretty cool. So that's really cool. There are lots of things to get into. Like I said, this game is a learning curve, so for me that's what kept me going, like playing this game, because there's something to learn, there's something new, to find out, to discover about the game, which for me is pretty cool because like I said, it keeps you like entertained about the game. Because like once you, like for example Call of Duty, once you figure out which guns are good, once you figure out which perks are good, etc, then all you gotta do is just play, and that's it. There's nothing else to quote unquote learn. I mean, you can learn like spawns and like where all the traffic happens on the map, but other than that, there's nothing much to learn. But in Warframe, well, at least to me, there was a big learning curve because there were lots of things to get into. There's like certain mods to look up, and like certain builds to build, and like which weapons were great against which faction, etc. What are the faction weaknesses, all that good stuff. So there's lots of things that you can do to learn about this game. So that's why I really liked about Warframe. So the gameplays that you're going to be seeing in the background is going to be 2 different types of gameplays. One's a normal gameplay, which is pretty much the first gameplay. Just me running around with a new Warframe that I got. His name is Chroma. This guy's a sick fool. And then the second gameplay is going to be an arc wing mission. This is basically, you have like wings and you can go in space and you can like fight shit and stuff. It's pretty cool. Quick note that those missions, the arc wing missions, are very rare. There are only certain missions, like compared to the normal missions, like the ratio is like, I don't know, like 1 to 5 or 1 to 6. So like for every like 6 normal missions, there's like 1 arc wing mission or something like that. I don't know the real ratio, but there's very few arc wing missions compared to regular missions, just a heads up. But this is still fun nonetheless. It's still pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool because you're in space and shit. But yeah, like I said, this game is pretty cool. quick note, like some things I wish I knew when I was playing this game. So usually when, you know, in normal games, you know, when you start leveling up, you know, you're supposed to get stronger, right? But in this game, what happens is that everything's pretty much revolving around mods and how you set them up a certain way. So basically, every time you level up a weapon or a Warframe or anything of the sort, your mod capacity goes up, and then each mod has its own number slots. Like for example, there's a mod called Vitality, and I think it's like it takes up 2 like, you know, capacity slots. So basically, if you level it up all the way, it takes like 10 or something like that. I don't know. But basically, for example, let's say you have a maxed out Warframe, right? You level it up to the max. You have 30 capacity slots. So then let's say you put Vitality, right? Like the 2, so that takes up 2. So you have 28 left. So then you keep filling them up until you have no space left or you have no more slots left. And then that's how your Warframe becomes stronger. So you can go all the way to level 30 and not put a single mod, and his strength and everything will be the same. Once you start applying mods to the Warframe or weapons or whatever, then that's when, you know, changes happen. So for example, there's a fire rate mod for, you know, for your weapons. There's a mod for more damage. There's a mod for, you know, to create fire damage. There's a mod to create electricity damage. You know, a mod for ice damage, etc. So there's lots of things you can do with the mods, and that's what keeps the game going. You know what I mean? You're looking for the good mods, you're looking for good builds, because if you put certain mods, you know, a certain place, or you combine certain mods, you can have like a really strong Warframe or weapon. So that's what's really cool about this game. So there's lots of things you can do in this game. There's lots of, you know, things to learn about the game, and like I said, that's what keeps me going. This game is really fun, especially with friends. There's like, you can have like a squad of 4 people. You guys can tear some shit up, and it's really cool when like there's lots of different types, like different Warframes in your squad, because, you know, you can, you know, admire everyone else's abilities and stuff, and in the long run, you guys can help each other out. You know what I mean? There's certain abilities that, you know, that can heal your teammates, or that, you know, that give you extra protection or damage or something like that. So it's pretty cool. It's a fun game. You guys should really get into it. I might make a mini series, you know, just like explaining what all that shit I'm talking about. But basically, this game is pretty fun. Again, as I said, this game is free for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. It came out on PC first, so they get the updates first, but that's kind of good, so you can see, you know, what's coming up in the updates for, you know, future releases and stuff. But yeah, guys, this game is pretty cool, and the cool thing is that pretty much every big update, they always introduce a new Warframe, so they just keep coming and coming, so it's pretty cool. So I highly doubt you'll get bored really quick about this game, unless, like, you know, you have like a really short attention span, or you don't like learning new things. But aside from that, hopefully you guys enjoyed the content. If you did, please check out the other content on the channel. Thank you for watching, guys, and remember,